Short version. I do not consider two of my son's kids, adopted stepkids, my grandkids, and my husband, myself, not plan to support them financially or leave them any inheritance. We do plan to pay for any college degree, within reason, and give $100K towards house down payment for our only blood grandchild. Longer and slightly more nuanced version. Son's kid from his first marriage grew up close to us, so we spent a lot of time with Nancy up until she was 11. After divorce, he remarried when Nancy was 13 and moved with his new wife 3 hours away. The wife had 2 kids, 12 and 6, who our son adopted 2 years into marriage. They are happy, and I'm happy for them. It was clear from the get-go that his wife and me, my husband, are very different people. We're absolutely civil and cordial, but I treat her as an acquaintance, friend, rather than my daughter. Also, due to the distance, we never grew very close with her or her kids, and I'll admit I never volunteered to take them in for the summer, etc. They are good kids, but I never had an opportunity or interest in developing that familial relationship with them. That is also true for my son's wife. She never asked them to call us grandparents or insisted on us being very close. We do give kids equal gifts and happily spend holidays together. Historically, I was the main breadwinner in my family, but the company my husband used to work for really took off after our son left the nest. So while he grew up middle class, he likely did not fully appreciate our new worth has increased substantially after his dad's company went public and he sold his interest. So it came as a bit of a surprise when we mentioned to our son that now that Nancy is nearly 18, we wanted to talk about her college fund. Upon hearing the good news, us funding the whole thing, he cheered up substantially and started talking how it's wonderful and generous to offer to pay for 3 kids to go to college. We corrected him immediately. This is only for Nancy. The other 2 kids are for him and his wife to put through school. I've heard a lot of hurtful words and thinly veiled threats since, such as they won't let Nancy have a relationship with us, but she's almost an adult now, so it's not their decision. I'm certain we are free to use our money as we see fit, and husband and I are 100% aligned on this one. But are we a-holes? Not the a-hole. I don't see what reasoning there is. If you never took on a grandparent role, you would suddenly be expected to take on a grandparent role. Not the a-hole. You have a relationship with Nancy that you never had with your son's other children. And although you are not giving money to the other 2 children, you and your husband taking care of Nancy's expenses should allow your son to split the money he saved by not having to pay Nancy's expenses himself on his other children. So, if your son saved $20,000 in his own account that he planned to pay towards Nancy's college, he could instead use $10,000 of his money toward each of his other kids. Also, I highly recommend that you pay the college costs directly to the college and give any monetary support to your granddaughter in a form that can't be accessed by her father. Bank account in just your granddaughter's name, money on her school debit account. No a-hole from a general perspective, but certainly this will piss your family off. You are right, you are not compelled to pay for anyone's education, especially people who you don't consider your grandkids. That being said, your son has every right to be angry with you. You have the means to pay for all of his children's college, and you are only doing it for one of them. You are telling him, through actions and not words, that you do not consider his wife family, nor his children family. That is a hell of a thing to do for money. I ask you, what is more valuable to you? That wealth sitting in your accounts, or a continued positive relationship with your son and his family? Very fair points. I think our take has been reaching out and relationship building goes both ways. My son's wife is a very opinionated person. She made it clear from the get-go it's her way or the highway. We politely made it known that we welcome opinions on things like family vacations we're paying for, food we cook for family gatherings, or gifts we give kids, but we get the final say. For example, I'm happy to book a trip to a nearby lake house instead of a mountain trip, but we're not paying for 5 people to fly to Hawaii. Or we can cook plenty of fish and vegetarian dishes for family gathering, but there's also going to be traditional Christmas ham when they are coming to visit us for the winter holidays. We're all adults, so we're giving them space where they want it. But I'm not at the age where I feel I have to bend over backwards to please someone who isn't too excited about building a relationship with me. I am 20 female. A few weeks ago, my maternal grandmother died. My parents are divorced. My dad had nothing to do with my mom's family after the divorce. He still insisted on being there, even though I told him not to. He's remarried and has stepkids who are 11, 9, and 7. His stepkids are all special needs, and blended family life is super tough for them. They struggle with the concept that I'm not their mom's daughter, that I have another family. To them, their family is mine, and mine is theirs. They used to cry a lot when I was a minor in their home, because they wouldn't want some random woman to take me, my mom. But then when it was explained again, because this was explained often to them, they would just wonder why she wasn't taking them with her too, and they even called her mom sometimes. So they all came to my grandmother's funeral. During the service, a video tribute was played. They all became distressed and upset that they could see me with another family, and all the good times that they were never a part of. It pissed my dad off. He started talking crap to my mom and grandpa about hurting his kids. I ended up pulling him away and telling him to stop being a jerk to them while they're grieving. He started venting about the kids being upset, and I told him they never should have been there in the first place. I told him I had explicitly said I do not want him there either. But they had come anyway and brought them, knowing how much this crap upsets them. I didn't get to say much else because he went all, "How dare you say that about your siblings," on me. We argued a bit more. He laid into me over the whole thing and told me they had every right to be there and to be upset. Am I the a-hole for this exchange? Dad's wife called to ask why I didn't care about her kids' feelings and said we should have been more sensitive towards special needs children. I am guessing, knowing the kids for more than 6 years, witnessing this stuff before, and because I heard from both my dad and his wife a couple of times each, that the kids are still upset by the whole thing. So I get my dad being stressed, but I feel like that's why he should have listened to me in the first place. Not the a-hole. Dad is. If anything, him and his wife are insensitive to the kids' feelings. Exactly this. The only ones who didn't care about the kids' feelings are their parents. OP didn't want any of them there, so they show up anyway, meaning they don't care about her feelings. And when the kids get upset, like OP knew they would, they still blame OP and her grieving family? What is wrong with these people? OP, not the a-hole, but seems like it's time to put some distance there. Not the a-hole. Your dad and his wife caused all of this drama. Your grandma's funeral isn't about their kids. It's about your grandma and her grieving relatives. Your dad's behavior was absolutely appalling. He could have gone alone to pay respects, but his wife and her kids did not belong there. Not the a-hole. It totally makes sense that the funeral of a lady who the father and the kids didn't have a relationship with has to be centered around these kids' feelings, right? But seriously, it's your grandmother's funeral. It's about her and her family. 46 male, me. 45 female, my fiancé. 42 female, ex-wife. My ex-wife and I are on great terms, and throughout, after our marriage, we have been creating a trust fund for our boys, 19 and 16, and they can do what they want with it when they're 24. I have my company that has skyrocketed since I started it 25 plus years ago, due to the need for it in the technological world, and it has branched out throughout the US. So our boys and my ex-wife have been very well off, and they'll all be taken care of if I pass, since I don't plan on changing my will yet. Everything goes to them. Our sons are very much interested in taking over the company, and they're both working part-time in the lower jobs to be able to get a feel for the company. The oldest is currently getting his degree, while my youngest is working hard in private school. Now, my fiancée also has 2 boys from her last marriage, 20 and 18, and she has never been on good terms with her ex. She was only married to him for about 4 years, and then became a single mother working various jobs, and her boys usually stayed with her mom. We got engaged about 3 years ago, and virus came and pushed the wedding back. Well, her oldest has been having some disagreements with the law and dropped out of community college and is currently working part-time at a store. And her youngest has been really struggling with school since virus and seems to be a p-head. My oldest son has recently been staying at our guest house for the last 3 days and has been telling great stories of his uni and how much he enjoys classes, experience, and he can't wait to start working side by side with me. After he went to bed for the night, my fiancée pulled me aside and asked if I could create a fund for her boys like I have for mine. I told her no, that I posted bail for her oldest, and he doesn't seem to have a plan for his life. And her youngest said he was never going to college because he hates school and that he's going to be a Marine. She got upset, saying that she wasn't able to provide for them like I have for my boys, and they were given different tools for success, and it isn't fair. That they'll be my stepsons, and I need to step up to the plate. I told her that they're adults now, and they're more than welcome to get a job at my company and we can go from there. But she got even more upset and told me I was an a-hole for not taking care of them and hasn't talked to me since. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. I don't plan on changing my will until I'm married. Then I'll add my fiancée. She has also signed a prenup too. Yes, prenup and will are both ironclad, bulletproof. They have been reviewed countless times by 3 different attorneys, multiple paralegals, and other workers too. Also, I met her sons for the first time when we were dating for 8 months, and that was a very quick meet and greet lunch. Her kids lived with their grandma throughout the rest of our relationship, and even during our engagement. I've only met them a few other times that I could spare because I was very busy then with work and my own sons' lives, and then virus hit, and things just got worse. So maybe seeing them 6 times total, and those were usually just quick hello and a dinner here and there. I had no part in raising them, just helping on bail because their mom couldn't afford it and the tuition. Her youngest son living with us is the most time I've ever seen him, and it's barely been a year at most. Her older lived with us for a month or 2 before she kicked him out. Edit 2. So my fiancé, now life partner, girlfriend, and I have had a discussion, and we are going to couples counseling now, and I've made the choice that we are not getting married anymore, and we will be life partners but nothing legally binding. She was very upset as she really wanted to be married, but she respected my decision. Also, we have also agreed that her son's welfare are her own personal responsibility, and I will split the costs with her on half of whatever she wants to help them with financially. She has her own job and doesn't want to leave it. But if they want to work for the company, then that is a different discussion with both parties. Not the a-hole. I ain't saying she a gold digger, but in all seriousness, if they get their stuff together, help them with school or with a job in the company, but no need for a trust fund. That free money with no accountability for adults you owe nothing to. Not the a-hole. You are not even married yet. Make certain your prenup is valid. She might be a gold digger. Do not count on your kids getting money if she is executor. Not the a-hole. I might feel differently if they were young children, but they're old enough that supporting them doesn't mean quite the same thing as it would if they were minors. For background, my 19 male family owns a property directly on the beach where my friends and I like to take vacations after big events or during school holidays. One of those trips was directly after junior year prom. That night, in a drunken haze, I asked my boyfriend with one of my rings if he wanted to marry me as a joke, and have planned on actually doing it there since then. We've been together for almost 4 years now, are just starting college, and have had many talks about our future already. Our friends, James and Amy, 18 female and male, got together a few months before I asked out my boyfriend, and James pulled me aside to tell me that he was planning on proposing during our graduation trip to the beach house. My first concern was about how Amy was getting ready to go to art school, and she seemed so insanely stressed out. A big proposal and the thought of planning a wedding was probably the last thing that she needed right now. I asked him if it was really the right time for getting married, and if he had talked to her about having a future, and he said they haven't talked much about it at all. I did my best to convince him, but he just wouldn't budge. It turned into an argument when I flat out asked him to not propose to Amy at the beach house whatsoever. That if he wanted to do it at a beach, do it at a different one. After he pestered me about it and told me I wasn't going to change his mind, I told him about how eventually I wanted to propose to my boyfriend there because it's a very sentimental spot. James then told me it wasn't his fault that I wasn't ready for marriage, and he loves Amy a lot. This made me angry, and I told him that he can't assume that I don't love my partner as much as he loves his, because I'm not ready for that kind of commitment. He said that if I did, I'd be proposing first, and we wouldn't have to have this fight. The talk went on for a while, but James, with the victim complex that he has, just cried to me about how it's not fair that I don't even want to live with my partner yet, but he can't use his and Amy's special spot to propose. I'm worried that if he does propose there, not only may it ruin my future planned proposal with my boyfriend, but it could go wrong between him and Amy and ruin the trip for everyone else. When I expressed this concern, he told me that she has to say yes. So I told him that it was my property in the end, and if he plans on proposing to her, he's not coming on the trip. Today, Amy asked me why James told her that I was yelling at him and telling him he wouldn't be able to come along with us, and I wasn't sure what to say. If he was going to eventually propose, I didn't want to spoil it for her at all. I just brushed it off with "we got into a dumb fight" and to just not worry about it. I feel a little bit selfish for telling him that he can't propose there when I'm not planning to do so for a few years. But it's not a risk I'm willing to take at all. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And your friend sounds like a bozo trying to trap his girlfriend into marriage before she leaves for college. Hold your ground. And it's your house. If you want your proposal there first, whatever. For anyone calling him petty, maybe it is, but I'd be hella petty in the same way. Sometimes you just want your special thing to be yours, especially when the co-opter is a would-be jerk. Not the a-hole. To be honest, your friend needed to hear this. He's very young and clearly dating a woman with big ambitions. You're avoiding a potentially massive awkward situation. Hate people who don't consult about marriage before proposing on their partners. Okay, why would their proposal ruin your future proposal? It's illogical, and you're getting jealous and resentful unnecessarily. So, a piece of life advice. Don't worry about other people's marriages, proposals. On to the main issue. I can understand asking someone not to propose on a group trip because it would color the whole event for everyone else, and then asking them to do it on a private trip instead. But you went about it a bit childishly and clumsily because you don't really have the right to stop them from using a public beach. But then there's his reaction and the things he said to you. So I think you wouldn't be the a-hole to kick him off the trip for that alone, not even counting the proposal stuff. Not the a-hole.